Alright folks, Jake and I are getting on the river.
Yep.
We're at Fort Hunter, and we're going to run upstream, go through Dauphin Narrows. We had a friend flip his kayak.
Oh yeah.
And lose some gear. So we're covering a topic. It's actually one, I used to carry this. This was an article from Kayak Angler spring of 2009. The crash test here. Hold on to that. What do you see going on there?
You're hitting a rock, and you're obviously going downstream this way.
Yep.
And you hit that rock, and it doesn't look like you expected it. And you're leaning into the rock to make sure that you don't flip, because if you lean that way.
So leaning into the rock is counterintuitive. When you hit the rock,
Naturally, you want to lean away from it.
yeah, you think the rock is the problem. The rock's not the problem.
No, you're the problem.
Well, that's one way to look at it, Jake. But all that water piling up on the upstream side is the problem. That's what grabs the front edge and just flips you under, and I think that's what happened to our buddy.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a drill that I would encourage you to do. I'm gonna show you how you set it up. As in any sort of training, you do something, you do drills so that when something just happens, you don't think, you just react, and you react the right way. And you have to train the intuitive lean away from the rock out of yourself. It's not good enough just to watch this video and be like, okay, got it, Jeff, understand it conceptually, lean into the rock. Not good enough. So we're going to show you how to set this up. Pair up with a buddy, go do this so that when you have it happen in a combat situation where it's unexpected, you do the right thing. All right, ready to run shuttle? Let's do it. All right. I will say first that I'm putting Jake in the, he's going to be in the Osprey. What are you doing?
I'm messing up your video.
Yeah, you are. The Osprey, and then I'll be in the Shoalie. We're going to do the rock broach drill in the Shoalie.
All right. Why are we going to do that, Jeff?
Because this has too much primary stability to even teach the concept.
I mean, we tried for what, 45 minutes to flip that thing?
Yeah, different video. It's coming later. So this is the buzzbait we're starting out with today. We're going to go over some buzzbait basics, and just to address the ridiculousness of this bait. I've caught them on pink buzzbaits. I thought I'd make it even a little bit more ridiculous by adding that bright yellow, I think it's a Zoom horny toad. Honestly, makes for a good thumbnail. It's going to have people with that bright color. People will find this video more using that screen grab as a way to, I don't know, just people click on stuff that's colorful, right? But you see what I did there is I actually bumped into the rock, and you want to be on the upstream side of things, and I actually have this thing moving as soon as it touches down, and you hit the front side of that rock. The closer you get it to a rock or whatever obstruction, whatever's dry, whatever's out of water, it gets to that point where if the smallmouth think that this is something terrestrial, it's about to get away, and it makes them want it even more. So a profile that big, is a smallmouth going to eat it? I don't know. We're going to find out, but the strike triggers getting it on the immediate upstream side of these rocks in that push water area where it's accelerating before the drop. That's a really key feeding zone. And even if you can, trace the contour of the upstream side by swinging your rod tip just to get it close to things. And you can sometimes get them to eat by varying your cadence. This one I can get really slow, but I'm going to try it slow, and then I'm going to speed it up. I'm going to surge it. I'm going to try different speeds to figure out how they want it. But more than anything, get it as close to the upstream side of these obstruction, all these rocks out here, as possible. Let it bump into rocks. So I like to have a moderate action rod, especially in summertime, throwing buzzbaits, so I get a lot of distance. The other thing to get a lot of distance, add weight in the form of a pretty hefty trailer. That trailer adds weight without reducing the buoyancy that keeps it on the surface. Another thing that this particular buzzbait has in its favor, if you want to slow it down, is counter-rotating buzzbait blades. This particular one has a plastic quad blade inside an outer, I guess it's an aluminum blade. And that makes it so you can really, if you want to, you can launch it a long way, get it moving as soon as it touches down, but keep your rod tip low and have a very slow retrieve and keep it moving. Counter-rotating blades just allow you, if you want to have that low gear, to really engage in that low gear. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to burn it, which is going to make a lot of commotion, a lot of noise in the push water of this little ledge lane here, bashing into rocks as it goes. This thing?
Yeah.
No.
Do you want to catch something on a buzzbait?
I would.
Use this one instead.
All right. So this is the one I've been throwing, and it's certainly got a big profile with that, that frog, and it's got extra weight, and it had a good casting distance, and I can really slow it down with the counter-rotating blades there. What do you got?
This is an Evergreen Buzzbait. It's it's a lot more natural color. It's a golden shiner color, very similar to that of the Z-Man Jackhammer Golden Shiner.
Nice.
It's got a gold blade, which I think they like that here. It has a really good squeak to it, and
give it a little bit of wind.
Oh, obviously,
you gotta point it at your face, man. How is it? Okay.
Yeah. So. The other thing too that I really like about this buzzbait, a lot of buzzbaits, when you reel them like super fast or slow them down, sometimes they have a tendency to roll side to side. This one has a keel on the bottom of it that really kind of helps it stay upright. And then it has like those kind of like the flanges on the side that really helps the body keep from rolling, and it keeps it coming back.
I like
nice
the keel idea. Keeps that hook up almost like a football head.
Yep.
Dragging the bottom, keeps that hook point up.
If you notice too, this buzzbait's kind of bent up a little bit, like from the head. It kind of, that's how it came.
Yeah.
That's not something that I did to it. So.
All right.
But yeah,
I'll give it a shot.
I think you're gonna have a much better chance catching fish on that than that.
I do too. And honestly, I'm trying to catch more views than fish with that one.
When did you become a clickbait fisherman, Jeff?
I fished with Juan Chacon, and he senior bass fishing. He taught me a few things. And you know what? I don't care if it helps people find me. Yeah. I'm all in on the clickbaity type thumbnail images. I think that
the content's not going to be clickbait.
No. Well, some of it might be soon.
Maybe.
What we're doing this afternoon might be a little bit, but it's still educational, still good information. So we're making a change. I like this keel style head. Looks like it would deflect well off of rocks and keep that point out of trouble. Years ago, with Confidence Baits, my buddy Roy Kinna and I made a more subtle version. It's actually kind of a blend between the two. Had counter-rotating blades that were small. It was a finesse buzzbait with two blades that were going in opposite direction, which allowed you to slow it down. Had a slimmer profile, and I did have this sort of gold baitfish color to match more natural forage out here on the Susquehanna. We're gonna give that a shot. So I got two rods that I'm working with, and one is absolutely the buzzbait that I'm working the water to a froth full speed, and the other is that follow-up bait. And in this case, it's the Z-Man scented jerk shad, and it's on the finesse rigging bullets. It's going to be a slow rate of fall. It's going to tumble in current, and it's absolutely going to catch those fish that slash at it and miss it. So we can go find some more freight trains with this buzzbait in the push water right down there, right before the drop off. I just missed one chasing it off of this shallow rock, and I got the scented jerk shad that I threw right back in there. So throwing a soft plastic jerk bait on where you just missed a fish, man, he was a good one too, is pretty critical. You need a follow-up bait, and that was a good that was a good fish, I guess. Can I get him to eat the jerk shad? And so he's still amped up about eating. But it was a full speed retrieve for sure. Yep, that made the difference. You are not the one that followed it, but there was hey Jake, come here, we got a couple of them schooling up right here. So some of my best buzzbait fish don't come on buzzbaits at all, they come on the follow-up bait. So if you have the tendency to set the hook and pull it away from fish that are chasing by setting the hook too soon, I tell people, you know, to look away if you need to. And it's a good way to have a better hookup percentage, but the better way is to really control yourself, control your excitement, and actually watch it, look at it, and you will see wakes of fish coming up behind it that maybe don't eat it. You know, I got my loophole performance eyewear on, and I am looking in the water behind it, into this push water. I want to know if they show themselves, if they come up behind it, either in the form of a wake or looking for that dark shape coming up behind it, if it's happening. If I just pulled one out of an area and maybe he didn't fully slash on it, he didn't absolutely blow up on the surface, usually those are the bigger fish, the ones that don't make a commotion. And you got to know that. You got to know that you at least got the interest of someone in that area. And, you know, that may be your cue to put down the buzzbait, throw your follower bait on there, you know, right into that area, and they think, yep, I got an easy meal here. All right, so it's 9:30. I haven't had a whole lot of action on the buzzbait. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off, but I think, you know, the primer that I gave you on how you're fishing these, you know, certainly applies to buzzbait fishing all sorts of different fisheries, especially here on the Susquehanna. Even though I wasn't successful with it, it was helping me find fish by getting them to react, and then you go back in with the follower bait, in this case the scented jerk shads. That's always a successful strategy, is to use the buzzbait to locate the fish, get them to show themselves, and then go back in with something finessey and they'll eat it. But what I'm switching to is something that I have a lot more confidence in here. This one's brand new in the package. It's a live target subsurface crayfish crankbait in that beautiful blue, green pumpkin, brown. Yeah, they're gonna eat that. So we just filmed a video that I think is going to help a lot of people with river fishing, and it's the rock broach drill. It basically shows you how to do the drill where it trains you to, when you hit a rock, lean into the rock, which is not at all your instinct, and you gotta train yourself to lean away from the rock so that the water basically piles up, you know, it slides underneath you instead of piling up on the upstream side. So if you haven't watched that video and you river fish a lot, especially in whitewater, go watch the rock broach drill video. I forget what I decided I'm gonna call that, but oh, and I lost my visor in doing that. I intentionally flipped, and my Z-Man visor's gone. Anyhow, I'm you know, moved on from the buzzbait for sure, and I'm dredging. I'm just grinding these ledges with the crankbait. That is my number 1 out of 5, and I just backlashed. And I gotta work on a backlash. Okay, in these ledge trenches, got the first one on the crankbait, and boy did I screw up forgetting my net. You gonna let yourself off? No? Okay. See you, little guy. Alright, aim for the downstream V. Some speed. And put the pointer down. There we go. Stay on. Stay hooked. Let me get you on here. Welcome aboard. So, intentionally coming to rest on these rocks is a really nice way to get stationary, to you know, really work the area around you that all has a whole lot of current without worrying about, okay, what am I drifting into next? So when you do this, when you drift in, and the current just pulled me right in here, it's really just practice. It's lean into the rock practice. And if you look at it in those terms, saying, yep, I am gonna intentionally collide with that, it just totally reinforces your, you know, the training, the drill that you've done again and again. You know, it's just it actually kind of breaks you of worrying about, you know, hey, I'm gonna goodbye. It conditions you to understand that banging into these rocks is normal, and you don't have that stomach jumping up in your throat type deal when it does happen, because the more it happens, the more you're used to it, and it's just like, you know, driving down the road, hitting the next pothole. That's it. Quite ready to drop down that yet. Little guy, bit right at the edge of the boat. So I got a little bit of a interesting drop that I'm coming up on, so I'm just making sure that much as possible, my gear is secured, and I got all the straps for the shoulder here. They're helpful in making sure that the black pack doesn't leave me, my dry bag doesn't leave me. Just making sure. All right, as I approach this drop, it's always important to note that it's always an option to portage. If you scout a spot and you look at it and say, no, I'm not ready for that, that's fine. You got all these rocks, you got the shoreline right there. Drag it down, portage. It's always an option. It's a good option in a lot of cases. Sneak routes, that's another one that that can be a better option than taking on, you know, the nastiest part of a rapid. And I've got other videos under the kayak fishing skills playlist on the YouTube channel. Look around in there, look in the kayak fishing skills playlist. But I am going to run this, and it's important to aim for the downstream V's. Consequently, the downstream V's is where you're going to have the biggest whitewater, the wave trains. Now I got a couple maneuvers to get through here. That's what makes this a more complicated rapid, and I'd call it today, it's a strong class 2, because I do have some good drops and some good bouncy waves, and there's some maneuvers I gotta take, and I will no doubt need to lean into some rocks. No doubt I'm gonna be in situations where I gotta do a quick draw stroke to line myself up. I'm looking at it, it may be a class 3 today, because there's several different maneuvers that I gotta do. I gotta drop down one. We're gonna stop here and look at this for a second. I'm just gonna pull up on this rock and study it. And even though I've run this so many times before, it pays to look at it each time. The rapids are gonna be different at different levels. We have not much water in the river, and there's not a whole lot of padding going through there. So I'm gonna take my time, study it, and pick my route, decide I'm getting to that one, doing a sweep stroke, coming down one more, then I got another rock to navigate. I think I'm gonna cut right there. And then I'd say I'm home free, but that may not be how it plays out at all. Find out. Here goes. Get speed. Speed is your friend. Into this, I'm gonna fish the basics. That was fun. So now I'm at the base of these rapids. It's worth working all this very well oxygenated water. That's an adult. got this one, nice one at 18 3/4. You know, we started with topwater this morning, try to force feed him with, you know, the buzzbait. Got a couple on the follow-up fluke, but man, the subsurface crankbait is really consistent for me on this river. You know, when they're you know, near the surface, and we are seeing them here in the you know, mid-afternoon. We're actually seeing fish that are in less than 2 feet of water, and they're just chilling out. But that subsurface, you know, is getting the trick done. Let's go ahead and get this guy back in there. Thank you. Sorry I pulled you off your wall.